go first? Oh. Thank you. No, that's too short. All right, just up it, just a little bit.
That's for Eli.
I need about, not Eli's height, but, oh God, I'm just kidding. Good afternoon, everyone. And, you know, just sitting back there, you really get to learn a lot about where people's heads are in our government. And also, you know, these are also like Scott, I've known, we went to high school together. I've known Eli since he was that 4-year-old, and that's how I brought these kids here. And I come from Pawhuska. I've been a businesswoman for 20 years, but before that I was 18 years in law enforcement. I stopped Michael Kidder when he was in Hominy. But you know, my life has always been about service. And I think that comes through many of my family have served this nation. And it's just, I was listening to my relative be so passionate about, someone is calling me. Okay, stop that. Okay, so this is really one I want to say. And this just comes from right here. The reason I'm running for Minerals Council is I came back home a year ago. I had the opportunity to work with the nation. I also had, as I keep my other clients, but I, you know, it says something that I can sit back here. 4 years ago, I ran against Chief. 4 years now today, now today, I'll put it that way, we can sit next to each other. That's what we want to always do as our Osage people. We're here in this room, and I appreciate you all listening, because we're at one goal. We want to see better. And how we conduct ourselves and how we speak to one another, because those little kids in that back room will watch how we do that. We make 2 decisions. We make one for the decision that we're making, and we make another for them. And every decision of those of you who are elected leaders and those of us who want to be that next leader. If you've been here for a long time, I'm just going to say this. The reason I'm here is because I've sat and watched on both sides in Congress and leadership, and we need some change. This election is 100% about economic development. Because as we've sat here and watched so many tribes, we've talked about Southern Ute or 3 affiliated tribes or Hickorea. Here's one thing that they did. They learned to get along. Why are they successful? Can you be in discord and be successful? Anyone agree with that? No. When you get along and you have common goals, Scott just talked about, you know, really there is, in our Constitution, there's 4 groups. I wish I had the Constitution, because Minerals Council is in there. It falls under this formula that we have, this Constitution. And for someone to just tiptoe and say, well, I'll listen and talk to them. I want to see someone, a leader that is going to be, and I'm talking to all leadership, whether it's Congress, Minerals, Executive. Yes, we are going to sit at the table and we're going to hammer this out. My dad used to say, I have 6 siblings and of course my parents, and if we had disagreements within our family, what did he say? He goes, nope, everyone sit down. And I didn't even know what we were going to discussing, because I'm like the 6th child of 7. And he goes, this is what's going on. These 2 aren't getting along, and you know, who's doing more chores, whatever. But we worked it out at the table. Plus we live in a big neighborhood, and you know, you don't want to take your business out on the street and let everyone hear about it. And Osage has done that for way too long. We've heard about screaming, arguing, not being respectful of one another. I can tell you this today. The guiding principle of the Osage people, from Cahokia Mounds all the way down to here, has been respect. I can tell you, in my family, when we all get in line to go eat, it's a natural progression. Those of you from big families, we know who gets to go first, and we know who's at the end of that line. We don't have to be told. We know that, but we do it with respect. It's not where we're like, hey, you little guy, get at the end. Even when my brother was chief, My mom said, all right, I want you 7 kids. I made a meal for you. I want you all to go eat. He started up to the head. She goes, oh no, you may be chief outside that door, but in this house, you're going to sit on the folding chair because we don't have enough chairs. That my dinette did not come with enough chairs. You're in the folding chair. That's respect. And he knew that. He goes, you're right, Mama. You're right. And so I think it's, if we bring exactly who we are at the very level of Osage people, there's no reason why. I mean, we are all sitting here as survivors of so many different, from being moved to being from, we don't really know what happened at Cahokia Mounds. It could have been a big 100-year wash. It could have been whatever happened. But the Osages that we bartered and traded at the up there in St. Louis, proudly, we were rich people then. We didn't have oil and gas. We didn't have anything. We had this. And we were really strong too. We were fierce fighters. But now we look at where we are. We didn't have districts or what district are you from or whatever. No, we were always a people. We had our clan. We had our history. And why is that important today in economic development? Because energy and economic development go together. Make no mistake. Right now we have a company, an LLC, the Osage Nation Energy Services. We finally have done it. We have something that we can hang our hat on and say, we have a company that we own, that we should be supportive of it. They just had the grand opening. For those of you who live here in Dallas, it just had a big grand opening about a week and a half ago or so. 150 people showed up. They were so proud because they said, all right, we have something we do. They're not doing oil production. We're not there yet. But I'm going to tell you a little bit how I got to, how I want to bring who I am to you all. Because I can count my successes. I can tell you about ideas all day up here, but that's not what I'm about. I'm going to tell you that I've already been there and done that. I've been in business for 20 years. I've been recognized as the top business in this, of all throughout Indian country. This Osage girl did that. They just don't hand those accolades out. And at first I thought, oh my God, this is so fantastic that I got this. What I saw is that give me an opportunity. So then I started my next business. I had, 18 years in law enforcement. And through that, I was on special operations team. I was the hostage negotiator. Proud to say I never lost anybody. That's a win. That's a big W. So just knowing that I have that gift to just continue to talk and people will listen to me when they're thinking about taking their lives. So then when you look at what, then I got into business. Did those skills come in handy? You bet they did. Because I talked about people of, all right, when you want to sit at the table and barter what the best price is for our oil and gas, you got someone who knows how to, I'm a shrewd negotiator. I also was a part of a union for the Fraternal Order of Police. I also was the negotiator on that. Just those simple things of sitting at the table and showing what I knew as an Osage. Be respectful. When you go and you start yelling at people and you start demanding stuff, I don't know about you, but I'm not real receptive when someone's yelling. In fact, I just like, settle down, and then we can talk. When you're ready to talk, then we'll be able to find a place of that common ground. But I'm telling you, I saw some things in the past year that made me want to get involved. Do I know everything about oil and gas? No, but this is what I do know. That as shareholders, we have the Minerals Council, which to me, I view it as a board of directors. And you want a board of directors that comes out with vision, who can work together and has a common goal and can communicate back to the shareholders. That's key. You can't have 1 or 2 people carrying all the water for you, but you need some more people that can get in there and get the best price to make sure that we know how to market and also how to streamline and modernize our processes that we have at Osage. We don't have everyone that, I'm not sure, but I'm I'm thinking that we're not having the #1 technology up there at Osage if we're losing money on gauging gas. Am I right on that? All right, yeah. So those are innovative ideas. So what's the common goal that we work with Osage government with? Well, let's sit down and find them. Because for the next 4 years, you're going to be electing a group of people that have to come together to say, all right, we got 4 years, what do we want to accomplish? I can tell you that I have not been communicated with through, well, outside of if I go and check the newsletter, and I don't think they've communicated since November of last year, maybe. I mean, that's not enough for me. We've got technology. I mean, I got a watch here, and it's already told me that if I stop at Chili's today, I'll get 50% off on an appetizer. And so if they can do that, true, I'm not kidding. But I think utilizing technology to say, hey, we're going to, Minerals Council this is the price of oil. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to tell us. It should be as a shareholder. Obviously, if you want to sign up for that technology, you should be able to do that. But just bringing common sense to business, that's what I bring. I've been highly successful in my business right now as I turn around businesses. I've gone to Dartmouth and I've attended, I went to Tech School of Business and, you know, taken all the classes, but the niche market is how to say this? It's a real long term, but I'm just summarize it for you. You know, how to create high performance businesses. Not even how to create them, but how to sustain them. #1, it's a miracle that I'm standing here right now because the national odds, if you're an entrepreneur and you're white, you have like a 75% rate of making it 1 year. If you're a Native woman, and right now, and if you made it past 5 years, you already have a 100% success rate. So as a woman business owner, this is what I want to bring to you shareholders. I want to bring my expertise and knowledge of how to turn around businesses, and also when I know that they were talking about how do you talk to the federal government. I've testified on both sides, on the legislature side and also on the Senate Indian Affairs Committee. You know, I'm proud to say that some of the work that I've done, I've seen the results of. I've sat on probably around 14 different boards through my career. The one of them I'm most proud of, well, there's a couple of them, but is the National Center for American Indian Enterprise Development. And that board represents over 500,000 Native-owned businesses and tribal enterprises nationwide, and also with Alaska Natives and Native Hawaiians. So I've seen all different sizes of businesses. So part of these questions are, you know, but part of being on those boards is to know board governance. And that's what has been missing or lacking within, I mean, I'm running for the Minerals Council, and I have yet to someone to show me that here are the rules of your election. Something as simple as best policies being put into place don't exist. Or if they exist, no one has given them in a packet to us. So, and also, how do you conduct yourself and come to consensus building within a board of directors, which is the Minerals Council? Haven't seen that. So instead of putting like 8 people in a room and saying, you know, it's like putting 8 3-year-olds in a room and say, you all get along. What we want to do is put 8 people in there with expertise, you know, a solid background in business, and put them in there and say, all right, collectively, with consensus, this is where we're going to go. And communicate that just easily to the shareholders. I don't think it's that hard, but I'm willing to think that, I mean, that's part of something that I want to do, and bring that skill set that I have. So quickly to answer your 3 questions, the Southern Utes are the richest Indian nation with assets of $4 to $12 billion. The main reason for their success is that they've hired professional experts to develop, and you know, here's the deal. I know these individuals, as many, some of us, and I've worked with them on the national level. I made a phone call and I said, if I'm so fortunate to be elected to represent the shareholders. Would you all, can we come up there and see how you're doing business? And I said, and also, what is your relationship with the BIA? They go, they're our partners. That's what you have to do. Find instead of them being adversarial, find out where you can be common ground and work together. I talked to Mark Fox, Chairman Mark Fox. He's with the 3 affiliated tribes up in Fort Berthold with the Bakken Oil. I sit with Mark on the American Indian Cancer Foundation. We're board members. And I made that phone call to him and said, I want to see how you guys are doing how you are working there. And what are the common things that may apply to Osage? Not that we got to replicate anybody, but what are the common things? He goes, well, first thing I tell you is that get along with your local, your state, and the federal government. You got to bring them in. While we're building this up, I know that Andrew had said something. He says, we're not going to attract any producers back until it's about, $70 to $75 a barrel. So right now we're at, 60 to 65? So between that time, hopefully I'm on council and we have some fresh horses that are coming in there, and we can all come up with a plan. Because I always say, have a plan and work that plan and be ready. You can't talk about a plan. You got to have one in place and say, here's our plan, and then have the buy-in of the shareholders. So with that, I would say, it's not what I would do, it's what we would do as a minerals council. New oil and gas production has been brought to a standstill. I asked that question to some of the other tribal leaders that I know. In this industry, if we're not producing anything, we are going to have to sit down and, like some others have said, I know the people up in DC. On my cell phone, I have 6,000 contacts in Indian country. And a lot of them are, and I have to work with any administration that's in there as a business owner. So my deal is we're going to go to DC and we're going to be with Chief and Congress. Because if we got to come in there with a united voice, that's the way we work it out. And and share what we're doing with our shareholders, and also how we can work together for the betterment of Osage. We have learned for many years that the Osage Nation has been underpaid for our natural gas. Well, now that we know, we go to work on that. I mean, it's that simple. I can't give you a really concrete answer, but I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm going to work to increase your check. At the end of the day, I know, where is he? Eli. Eli goes, are you going to do your increase your checks speech? And I go, you bet I am. You bet I am, because I'm going to tell you, the more that I work with different ones, I do not even see him standing. But I'll tell you what, I've been successful at this. And I know that if I can turn around small businesses to large businesses, I can do this at home, and I want to do it for you all. Thank you.
Hey, Margo.
Marsha. Let's have a big round of applause for Marsha Harlan. You're welcome. Thank you.
I can't believe I have to follow the hostage negotiator. She's never lost anybody, but she knows how to make people listen. But at the back of the room, we're all like,